What's up, everybody? How's it going? I'm Brad Dollar, producer, engineer, and coach. Thank you so much for joining me. It's great to see you. So I've been waiting to make this video until there was enough of you here, and now that we've crossed the 100 subscriber mark, I thought it was a good time to go ahead and introduce myself to you. My main goal here is that you really know what this channel is about, where I'm coming from. So if there's anything I go over, anything I hit that you want to know more about, don't hesitate to drop a comment or send me a message or reach out, especially if you're in music and maybe you're just getting started or you're trying to move to the next level. That's what this channel is here for, so that we can all progress together and make the best use of our creative superpowers. But before we get started, it would mean a lot if you could hit the like button and the subscribe button. It means a lot to me, as it really helps the YouTube algorithm to know I even exist and to show this information to more people just like yourself. So thank you so much for doing that. It super helps. I really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get going. Now, you may know from watching the channel that I can be pretty verbose and kind of long-winded. So I thought it'd be more interesting and a better use of your time if I just hit the milestones and highlights. So the beginning of my music journey, although very inspired, is pretty boring until about age 11. It was the 1999 MTV Video Music Awards, where Aerosmith and Run DMC played Walk This Way with special guest star Kid Rock, and it blew me away to see Joe Perry walk out on the front of the stage and start playing guitar, and Steven Tyler show up beside him and start singing, and Run DMC start rapping, and Kid Rock doing, well, whatever Kid Rock does. But it just invigorated me, and it was like nothing else I had seen in my life at that point, and lit a fire under me that I can literally still feel to this moment. So my amazing mom took me down to Guitar Center, El Cerrito, California, picked out a guitar that I thought looked cool, and with the help of the one and only James DePrado, who you should check out, he's an amazing guitar player, I was on my way home with my first guitar. Pretty much right away, I was like, let's start a band. And so in 8th grade, I started my first band, Society's Edge, apostrophe S. So it was like the edge that belonged to society. It was terrible trying to tell people what our name was, and highly recommend not putting apostrophes in your band name. But that was a transformational experience in my life. When you make music and you share it with people and you make it for people, you feel like a sense of responsibility to do it right. And it's probably just your ego talking, but there's just something about doing it with other people that makes it feel like you're giving something to the world. And that still sits with me today. I mean, that's why I'm here on this channel. I want to take whatever's been given to me and pass it on. I don't know if I could have described it that accurately in the beginning, but looking back now, I realize it's a big part of it. So very quickly, teenage years, played a lot of shows. Played my first show when I was like 13, Cafe Eclectica, Albany, California, not there anymore. And we had a really great scene in the Bay Area where I was raised. Awesome bands had preceded us, from Grateful Dead to Metallica to Green Day, and you could still feel that, especially in the East Bay, you could still feel that there was something there to tap into. And so we plugged into it, and a lot of bands and artists from that era plugged into it. I feel very lucky to be part of an era and an area that really spawned so much creativity. And even still to this day, shout out Ricky Reed of Local I Am and Facing New York, who's producer now for Lizzo and a ton of amazing other artists. He's from the same area, the Pinole, Richmond area. So him, among so many other greats like E40, Too Short, Primus, so much came out of this 20 square mile area of the world where I'm from that it's hard to detach myself from the level of inspiration that gives me and gives others. So let's put the fast forward thing on here. So by the end of high school, I knew I did not really want to go into any other thing in my life. And recording was always one of those things that really called to me. Pretty much as soon as I was aware that you could record, I was recording. Just started getting into it and really fell in love with that process of making music with other people in a way where I didn't have to play and be in their band, but I could be a part of them while it was coming together. So to be recording on my friends' bands and then to see that music come out in the world, and it showed me that that was a pathway in life. So by the end of high school, I'd recorded a bunch. I'd been in a lot of different studios, and I worked at Aaron Brothers Art and Framing for about a year and a half after high school, while my next band, A Class Act, started to get off the ground. We started to play. And so 2006, I started at Expression College for Digital Arts in Emeryville, California, where I eventually ended up getting a bachelor's degree of audio engineering. I went to a 2.5-year accelerated program, so they condensed the 4 years of a normal college degree, because I could not wait to get out into the world and start making records with people. And while I was in school, I still had a band. I had A Class Act, and we did some touring around the country. Like we went to New York, and we went down to Arizona. Our van broke down, and that was a whole other journey in of itself. But I was still playing a lot of music and making music and practicing recording on the level I wanted to with A Class Act. Andy Wilkie had a little home studio at his folks' place in Pinole, and would go there and do overdubs, and we just treated it very professionally. We treated it like the dreams that we were trying to live up to. Just making records, making music, and being in touch with the process, because for us, there was really nothing else that we wanted to do with our lives. By the end of school, like the middle of school, and this is where my journey really starts to take off. At the age of 19, at a Recording Academy event in San Francisco, I walked up to the incredible Stephen Hart, my friend Caitlin McGaw. She told me that Stephen was opening a studio and said I should go over there and talk to him. And I said, hey, Stephen, I know you have a studio you're opening, and if I can help in any way, please let me know. I think I talked to him for all of 15 seconds. He's like, yeah, nice to meet you. That sounds good. Yeah, do you have a card or a phone number? And I gave him my little Vistaprint free business card, and he was like, awesome. And the next day, Stephen called me and he said, hey, do you want to come down to the studio? And I went down to San Rafael to a place called Bay Area Sound Studios. I met Stephen Hart, and he was like, hey, can you help me with this thing? I was there for 3 or 4 minutes, and I started helping him, helping put a PA together and moving some stuff around. And by the time I left, 3 hours later, I was hired. Now, it wasn't like it was some life-changing job in terms of money, but it was life-changing in terms of what it meant for my path, my progress, and being able to actually be in a studio semi-full time. So really make sure that if you see an opportunity you want to be a part of, just ask. You might get a no. Those are very common in the music industry. You're gonna have to deal with that. But don't be afraid to go after something if it's right there in front of you, you think you could be a part of it. When I was working with Stephen, we were doing all kinds of different projects. I helped him record, I helped him mix, I helped him do file management. He taught me about the business, about invoicing, about communication with other people, and his attitude and compassion in the studio was so profound that it sticks with me to this day. He was so sweet and so caring and so loving every step of the way. And so when I'm in sessions, I love doing the same thing because that was the example I was shown. And he also really taught me the Al Schmidt way of doing things, which is don't count on outboard gear to get the sounds you want. Move mics, be resourceful. He taught me how to be resourceful and to use what we had around us. Everything we had a specific purpose. And if you played with a combination of things, you could pretty much make any sound you wanted. And so that really taught me early on. You didn't need a lot. And it taught me that you could make great music pretty much anywhere. So that time at Bay Area Sound Studios with Stephen Hart, we did Van Morrison, Primus, Narada Michael Walden, Carlos Santana, Maria Muldaur, and so many countless others came through that space in that time. So I'm very, very grateful. And it was a major stop in my journey. Being at Bay Area Sound Studios created the opportunity of me being able to work with Bob Weir, the Grateful Dead. When I met Bob, I could probably name 2 Grateful Dead songs at that time. So when I saw Bob Weir, I didn't even know who he was. I was like, hey man, nice beard. Bob walked in with his crew and they were going to buy it and turn it into a studio. And thanks to the guy who would become my boss, the incredible John Cutler, the amazing producer and engineer who did Grateful Dead's really only hit records, saw something in me, still not really sure what it was, and brought me along on the journey. He brought me along initially to help transition Bay Area Sound Studios into what would become TRI Studios, but I saw that as an opportunity, showed up to it as much as I could with as much of myself as I could, and just let them know that I wanted to be there recording records and making music with them. And that's what I got to do for many, many years there at TRI Studios. I got to learn and play with so many different amazing pieces of gear and microphones, and just in general being able to make music with some of the biggest, most legendary artists of all time. Obviously Bob Weir, but also Phil Lesh, bands like Slightly Stupid. Got to work with Lucas Nelson, John Schofield. We did stuff with Night Ranger, mixing the Primus Selling the Seas of Cheese surround release, as well as being able to work on incredible reissues of Grateful Dead recordings, and not to mention making lifelong friends with the guys I worked with Mike McGinn, Rick Vargas, AJ Santella, the late and great Chris Cherokee. I'm just going to sum that whole time period up. I got to be in the light of so many people who have touched the top, so many people who have made profound music, and so many people who continue to walk the path and be on that journey. So that time period of my life really set the tone for the next legs of my journey, including getting to where I'm at now. So by 2013, I was starting to feel like it was time to branch out. I started to travel around the country more. I got called out to Grand Rapids, Michigan to do a record with my friends, The Outer Vibe. Also in that time period, found my way to one of the greatest milestones I've been a part of in my life, period, and that was joining Zoo Labs in Oakland, California. Zoo Labs, just like me, was transitioning in its life to become something more than just a place for music, or to become just only focused on music. And that was what I started to feel at that moment. I was like, making records is great. I love recording, I love engineering, but I really need to stretch myself. And the places where I felt like I wanted to stretch myself were in producing, and I knew that the music business side of it was going to be crucial for me to wrap my head and my heart around if I wanted to take any steps forward as a career producer and engineer. And Zoo Labs was a really, really big part of that. What its focus was to bring business education into music creation. I helped create a music program where artists would take what they learned from daily business classes with mentors from Google, Dropbox, and all these other very business and tech-centered worlds, and help them marry that with the music they were actually making in the studio, so that when they went in to record, they weren't just reaching into the dark, but they were actually pulling from strategy to coax their visions to life. Artists from all over the world would come for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, and day in and day out, work on their business, work on their music, work on their business, work on their music, and merge the two into a lifestyle and career path that actually helped them not just sustain themselves and pay their bills, but to thrive. Hundreds of amazing artists, different music teams, incredible music producers, different kinds of music, different projects. And I watched so many incredible people turn the light switch on that would help them go from just making great songs to actually having a life in this field that didn't require getting signed by a label, and it just required them to know what they wanted to do, make a strategy for it, and execute upon it. Hope you check it out. It's been a big part of my journey, and there's so many great experiences I could talk about from that. But the biggest takeaway is that there's really a place for music business and music creation to live in harmony. So Zulabs played a really big part in connecting those dots for me, and it helped me connect the next dot in my life, which was that I needed to probably move out of the Bay Area. And so in 2017, I moved to Nashville to write a new chapter in my life where I lean into the discomfort of being in a new place and being a small fish in a big pond and being around so many gifted producers and songwriters and engineers that I have to step up my craft. I have to step up my abilities. I have to step up my outreach if I want to keep going. I know there's great work for me to do here musically, and to bring my love of everything that's pretty much not country to this town so that other people can tap into it. And most recently, I've been helping put together and working out of this studio in Franklin, Tennessee called Hummingbird Hill. Be sure to check out the video I just posted of Dovidas and I working out of there. The console there is legendary, and the space is just so beautiful being out in the woods. And we're just in the early days of getting off the ground, so I feel very grateful to be a part of it, and it's definitely a shining headlight on this moment as I keep moving forward with my life, and feel so grateful to so many years later, going back to my journey starting around 11 and being here at 33 and be able to be in a space like that, making music like that, to even be here at all, talking to you at all about anything I've done. I mean, I kind of want to cry sometimes because it's amazing. It's amazing that it's happened, and I have a lot more I want to achieve. My dream is nowhere near complete. I love doing this, and I feel so grateful to do this with my life. And there's so many other things that could have happened or stopped me or put me on another path, a different direction. And so to be able to do this here really means a lot to me. And that's a big reason why I have this YouTube channel, is because I want to share that with you. I'm here to show you as much as I can to the best of my ability that you can do this. And then if this is something you want, you will achieve it. And success and the pathway comes in all kinds of different sizes and forms, but all that matters is that you're really aiming for the dreams you have in your head and heart. And whether or not they ever happen doesn't matter. It's about what you aim for and the reason you're going towards them, because that's how all the beautiful, incredible, unexpected things happen around us when we just lean into what's calling us with everything that we have. So that brings us to the last super crazy year and a half that we've had. Last year in 2020, I really leaned into coaching artists on strategy, on production, and on building a career path that would actually help them to meet their goals and make some money in the process. So I started working one-on-one with artists over Zoom to work through some of the tough issues they were having around not really making a lot of money, but also not being able to perform, not being able to record, and really not be able to express themselves in the way that they really not just wanted to, but needed to. So I spent pretty much all of last year helping artists move into e-commerce business models, move into new mindsets of abundance, and to help them really push their songs and their craft to be as great as it possibly could be. I also realized that for myself, I didn't want to stop making music, and I didn't want to stop making records. So last year I got to mix a ton of great records, and I got to make a bunch of tracks that I was able to pitch to other artists, pitch to Sync and Songwriting, and really just to help me get better at producing and engineering music. So last year really showed me that connecting with people like you through YouTube is possible, and that beyond this, there's so much great music to still be made, and there's so many great connections to still be had with people all over the planet across time and space with the art that we make. So last year set the tone and created a positive trajectory for the next leg of my journey as I reach for the bigger goals that I have, like working with more of some of the legendary artists I dream about working with, working all over the world in other studios. All we can hope is the things that we make create enough excitement and interest that other people want to continue working with us. So that's the biggest goal I have for myself, and the biggest dream I have is that I can and keep reaching higher, reaching to work with more people, and in the end, be able to reach a greater audience to bring more of this positivity, more of this information, and just more of this love and light and compassion and good energy that's gotten me here at all. So that's me. I think that's me. I'm sure I glazed over a million things and a million people and a million moments, but these videos can only be so long before they get boring. But if you have questions or if there's something I can expand upon for you, don't hesitate to ask. If you have a particular leg of your journey that you're on and you want to know more about it or how to proceed, I'm here for you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. It's an honor to do this with my life. It's an honor to be in a position where I can replenish others. So I hope in this channel, you can join me in that mission. You can join me in that adventure of doing that and bringing more positivity to this world and doing so through music. So I wish you the best of luck on your journey. I can't wait to hear your story. If you have a story like this, link it below. Let's check it out. I'd love to see and learn more about you. And until next time, until the next leg of our journey, take care. I'll see you soon.